Where were you on 9/11? I think that we all remember not just where we were, but the exact moment we learned about the disaster that was happening that day. My next author has been asking questions about the truth of what really did happen on 9/11. I want you to welcome my next author, D. Randall Ashcraft, who wrote the book 9/11, 2001, The Day Patriotism Was Hijacked. I'm glad that you're here, Randall.
Thank you for having me.
You are stirring up some smoke and getting people's feathers all fluttered up because you're asking questions about 9/11 and you're not necessarily marching in line with what we've been told. What are your thoughts on this? What happened?
Well, for 14 years, I was like everyone else. And I remember where I was that morning. I was in a stand up meeting at our post office. I had retired from the, um, um, I was at the post office in Little Rock. And the guy next to me said he had a call and he answered the call in the meeting, which was pretty weird. But he said that the World Trade Center was being attacked. And so the TV was turned on that morning and in the post office and everything like that. So I went directly to the phone and I called my unit. I was in the National Guard Army and asked them what was going on because we were infantry and I fully expected to be deployed again.
Sure.
I had already been deployed several times, did a 13 months in Korea. And so I was in that mindset. And sure enough, within a month, we had orders to Egypt. We came back for a year in 2003 and then deployed to Iraq in 2004. And from then on, I was like most other people. And I believe that Arabs attacked us because they hated our freedoms in the West. I believe they attacked the World Trade Center because they wanted to hurt us economically and all that type of thing. But as time went on, I earned 2 degrees in the meantime, a Bachelor of Science in Business, thank you, and a Bachelor of Arts in History. But history, I love history, it's my passion. And it was about a year after I got my history degree, and I got that in 2014, and then in 2015, I happened upon a documentary called Anatomy of a Great Deception. And it showed me things about how those buildings came down that day. And you can see going back to watch it, controlled demolition was definitely what brought those buildings down.
Okay, wait a minute. Because our eyes saw airplanes hitting those buildings.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yes. For one thing, I've learned that jet fuel is comprised of kerosene. It's the main ingredient in jet fuel. And that does not burn hot enough to melt steel. And there have been architects and engineers formed a group called Architects and Engineers for 911 Truth. And they specify that, you can hold a flame under a steel beam, forever, and it will never burn hot enough to melt steel beams. So that means that something else was in play that day that brought those buildings down.
And that was?
Explosives. Dr.
Preset in the buildings.
Preset explosives in 3 buildings. It's important to remember that World Trade Center 7 came down that evening at 5:20, but it was not hit by a plane. And again, the same set of architects and engineers that took issue with the idea that kerosene could burn hot enough to melt steel beams also took issue with the idea that small office fires could bring down a building, because that's what the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, said brought down World Trade Center 7 that day. They,
Why are we being told one narrative, but you have beliefs that another one happened? What's the reason?
it, 911 accomplished many things for a certain set of people who are interested in, number one of the main things was destroying our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. In the same way, I believe that the vaccinations have not happened because of COVID, but COVID happened in order to institute these vaccinations. In the same way, the Patriot Act, which I call the Anti-Patriot Act, didn't happen as a result of 911. 911 happened in order to institute the Patriot Act. For one part of the puzzle, for the events that happened that day. The Patriot Act was written prior to 911, just as these vaccinations were developed prior to COVID.
What do you feel like the answer is? What do we need to do now? Because we're down to just the last couple minutes.
Resist the mask mandates, resist the vaccinations, do your own research into 9/11, especially research the 5 dancing Israelis, because
Is that
the 5 dancing Israelis were seen by a lady that morning as she was looking from her apartment through binoculars at what was happening with the Twin Towers. She happened to look below and noticed these guys that were celebrating and dancing around and showing flashlights in front of their camera as it was aimed at the Twin Towers. She stated that they didn't look shocked to her. They didn't look shocked. They didn't look shocked, I believe, because they knew what was going to happen.
Right.
They were later arrested. Their van was found with explosives in it.
Wow.
And the 5 dancing Israelis, I believe, are the ones who
We're behind it.
Yes, ma'am.
As we wrap up in 30 seconds, what do you hope people take away from your book?
The idea that we need to begin thinking for ourselves. We need to slow down from our busy lives just a bit and realize what's going on with our country. Thanks to the Patriot Act, any one of us can be suspected of being a terrorist, and it basically nullified our due process. We have no more writ of habeas corpus. Our homes can be searched and seized, items seized with no
warrant.
And
take action, right?
Yeah, with no warrant. And become aware, become aware that things aren't what they seem to be.
I got you. D. Randall Ashcraft, written the book 9/11, 2001, the day patriotism was hijacked. We've got your contact information on the screen. Real quick, how can people get a hold of you for those that are listening to the radio?
I'm at minds.com, www.minds.com/watchdog20. I have a website, www.defendtheconstitution.org. And my email is awaken21@protonmail.com.
Randall, thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.